I'm Corbett Wall with DVAuction, here with your feeder flash for Monday, July the 1st already. Brought to you in part by Macrocin by Bimeda. Macrocin is a tulathromycin injection, basically a generic Draxin. It's a bold, straight shooter that does what it's supposed to do for you, for your cattle, and most importantly for your bottom line. For more information, go to macrocin.com. Also, Joplin Regional Stockyards. A lot of places are taking off this week, but not Joplin. They're going to have a huge week. Going to have 6,500 expected here for the regular Monday feeder cattle auction. They're going to be starting at 4 o'clock in the morning because it's supposed to be hot and humid, so they're going to try to get most of those cattle out of the way before it gets really hot. Then coming right back the next day on Tuesday, they're going to have the primetime livestock video Big Bang sale. So if you hear kind of a boom down there in southeast Kansas on Tuesday, that's the Big Bang sale they're going to be having in Pittsburgh, Kansas at the Kansas Crossing Casino. Going to have over 52,000 head. That's what they got in the catalog right now. But knowing them, they're probably adding them by the minute. But that'll be an awfully good test of the market, awfully good test of those grass cattle coming out of the Flint Hills and the Osage and southern Missouri, northern Arkansas, and all around. They'll have a lot of really nice cattle on there. Check them out. It's here Tuesday, July the 2nd, the Big Bang sale. If you can make it to Pittsburgh, Kansas, they invite you. They're going to have lunch served at 11:30, and then the sale will begin at 1 o'clock p.m. right there in the main activity room there at the Kansas Crossing Casino, guys. If you can't make it there, get on to DVAuction.com. I promise the internet will be better than it was at the Blue Stem Special at the Crossbell, but everything will be going good there. So get on and check that sale out. The Big Bang sale on Tuesday after the regular Monday sale here was 6,500 today. San Marcos, I was at the Blue Stem Special, the big special video sale that they had at the Crossbell Ranch in Copan, Oklahoma. I was there on I guess Saturday evening. Then I made my way down Sunday to San Marcos, Texas, here for the Independent Cattlemen's Association's convention, 50th annual Texas convention, and it is a good one. I tell you what, there's real producers here. It's not just a trade show. They are having a trade show, but it's not a bunch of suits. It's regular cattle people. Some of them are land investors. Some of them are small producers. Some of them are big producers. But they just regular people, guys. And it is a good conference to go to. Going to be here Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. But I just like the style around here that they're doing it. They are a U.S. Cattlemen's Association affiliate. So Justin Tupper, the president of USCA, is going to be here to present, and I believe that's on Tuesday. On Tuesday, I am going to be moderating an industry panel, and this is the kind of a trade organization we have here. I am going to be just me moderating an industry panel is enough to make some people nervous. But the subjects we're going to be talking about are bird flu and mandatory EID. So, I don't think you're going to catch the LMA or NCBA having an open industry panel with something like that, especially with a volatile moderator. But that's the way they do it down here in San Marcos, and it's a good time. They have a lot of interesting speakers going to be here. Going to be just a good gathering there, a lot of fellowship, and we're going to talk about some hotbed topics coming up, guys. But talking about that Blue Stem Special that they had, it's through Coffeyville Stockyards there. They have, of course, Northtown and Southtown, and so went to that on Saturday, and man, was it hot. Whew. There at Copan, Oklahoma at the Crossbell. Such a beautiful ranch there. Just a cool place to be, but the internet sucks. You can't hardly make a phone call around there. or even send or receive a text message, let alone have decent internet. Now, I apologize to those buyers that were on there. I don't think we had anybody hung up. It kept kicking me off there, but it was usually between drafts and things like that. So we did never lose it while we had anybody engaged. So I appreciate you guys that stuck with me that were bidding online. But between the online buyers and the huge crowd that they had underneath the tent, it was a who's who of buying feeder cattle there, and man, it wasn't. If the cattle didn't bring enough, it wasn't because they didn't have the buying power there. But I thought the sale was really snappy. It's really some of the first tests we had of some of these midsummer delivery Flint Hill cattle. There were a lot of cattle that were delivering earlier than midsummer. A lot of current delivery cattle on there were just maybe 2 to 3 weeks out. So it was interesting. You can check that sale out. I'm going to give you a sale that I thought was the most impressive. We had some demand for replacement heifers, and Osage Nation Ranch had a long string of calves on there. The heifers, there were 4 loads of fancy home-raised heifers, 90% black. They didn't have a lot of bells and whistles. They just had quality and really good quality and local cattle right there. And they're for immediate delivery, and those heifers have a weight of 675 is their target weight, and they bring 299.75, weighing 6 and 6 bits, guys. That is and how did I know for sure they were replacement heifers? Because they outsold their brothers. The steers were set to weigh 700 pounds for immediate delivery at 286.50. So I thought that was probably the highlight of the sale. I was looking through my vehicle and found the catalog from last year, and I did a little comparison. Chris Becker is a consignor there. He sold a load of steers on Saturday, grass steers, grass only, 100% black, but just put together cattle, but pretty nice set of steers, weighing 9 1/4 for immediate delivery, and they bring 253. Last year, they had a load of steers just like them, except for the target weight was 910 instead of 9 1/4, and they bring 237. So that's kind of the difference in the market. The market was awful good last year. It's just better this year. I thought I would go north of the border and give you a price on a set of calves that kind of stirred a lot of people's interest up in Canada. And if you guys think that they're dumping cattle, Canada's dumping cattle on us, you're not paying attention. Their market's higher than we are, as high as our market is. But on the team electronic auction, there late last week, the McMillan Farms out of Cayley, Alberta, Canada. They sold some cattle on that video. Had a string of steers. They were Charolais Cross, mellow yellow steers. That's what they really like. Not everybody is black crazy in Canada. They like those yellow and red cattle really well there. But these were mellow yellow Charolais Cross cattle right there. They're home raised, but they're unweaned, still balling. They did have some bells and whistles on them, but 210 head of those mellow yellow steers right there in Alberta, Canada, to weigh 535, bring 537.50 Canadian money, or 391 US. We're not getting that for our steers, especially ballers, guys. But let's talk about your board for last week. How about June live cattle futures? Monday was up $1.30. Tuesday was up 57 cents. Wednesday was up 3.45. Thursday was up $1.25, and then Friday down 67 cents. That spot June was running so far behind cash, they really had to run it up early this week to even get within eyeshot of your cash market and try to narrow that basis a little bit before it dropped off the board. But June live cattle contracts left the board at 193.50. We had cattle bringing $2 a pound, so didn't get too awful close to it. But that was $5.90 higher for the week. Big gains there. Now August is sitting all the way back at 185.42. That's our spot month on live cattle futures now. $15 back of what cattle are bringing in the northern plains. But 185.42 ended the week for August live cattle contracts, and that was up 227 for the week. August feeder cattle, Monday was up 52 cents, Tuesday up 15, Wednesday up 272, Thursday was down $1.12, and Friday down 135. And your August feeder cattle ended the week at 259.30. That was up 93 cents for the week. September was actually down a quarter for the week at 259.65. And you would have thought maybe your feeders would have got a little bit of shot in the arm from the big gains we saw in your live cattle pits, but everybody knows they were just trying to close out the contract's life there somewhere close to where fat cattle were selling. So that didn't help anything. But your corn was down big for the week. Corn lost 37 3/4 cents a bushel for the week last week, ending under $4 a bushel at 397 1/4. And you think, well, there's been a lot of flooding up there. And of course, you see the damages of the flooding. But I guarantee you, a wet year up in the Midwest will make a better crop than the flooding will tear up. So you can count on that, and they're counting on. They've had a lot of moisture up there, guys. But 397 1/4 to end the week for July corn. Your beans were down 8 1/4 cents a bushel for the week at 11.52 1/4. Kansas City hard red winter wheat gained 10 3/4 cents at 5.92 a bushel. Your fat cattle trade up through Thursday of last week. Only 5,200 head had sold in your entire 5-area feeding region. They're just putting it off. You know, the cattle feeders have kind of had your packers back on their heels. They're so short bought, and the supplies are so tight, and these cattle feeders are really working them over week in and week out. And every week it's the same. They still haven't traded anything on Thursday through Thursday, hardly at all. And then your packers are hoping for the board to break on Friday so that they can buy cattle steady. And the board was down, but it really didn't break off that bad. But down a little bit on Friday, your live cattle futures, what I mean. And so it was kind of a jumbled up trade. I can't tell you for sure what the market is. Now, I do know some people that traded Friday afternoon late at $2 a pound in the northern plains. I don't know how prominent that was. I don't know if that was where most of them traded. I don't know if the gate swung that way. We'll just have to find out whenever these reports come out on Monday, and then I'll tell you on our next visit, and that'll be our last visit for the week because of the holiday here. But and in the southern plains, they actually traded more cattle than the northern plains up through Thursday. When do you ever see that? And they had a price spread. They had a spread in their price range there, which they never do. But predominantly 190 for fats in the south was steady to $1 higher. But up through Thursday, like I said, that's the latest available information we have. As a whole, there was 5,200 head. Your price range up through Thursday in your 5-area feeding region negotiated was $188 to $2 a pound, and your weighted average was $193.92. Now it's going to be some higher than that, but I don't know where the volume's at, and we'll just have to see. I don't think we're going to set another record. I think we're going to come up just a little bit short of the previous week's weighted average, so it won't set a new record, I don't think. It didn't have very much dress trade, but it was higher, from 308 to 317.50, and a weighted average on a light run of sales of 314.85. But that's pretty much irrelevant because we didn't see that much trade. Now, we saw trade on Friday. Didn't see all of it, but we saw the beginnings of the trade on Friday, and then Friday afternoon after the 2 o'clock deadline to turn in the information. The rest of it happened, and I don't have really any feel for what kind of volume we had. I don't think it was going to be great, because I don't think that all your packers gave $2. I think a lot of people would have sold. Some people were turning down the $2 even late in the week there. But Iowa on Friday sold 3,600 head, 6,200 for the week. live sales in Iowa on Friday that were reported was 197 to 198. But like I said, Friday afternoon I talked to guys that got $2 a pound in Nebraska also. But I don't know how prominent that was. Your dress sales in Iowa on Friday were 310 to 315. Nebraska sold 3,500 head Friday up through 2 o'clock. Only 300 more than that for the whole week, so they didn't do anything earlier. Live prices in Nebraska on Friday were 198. Dress sales at 312. Kansas sold 7,800. About as much as Iowa and Nebraska thrown together. They sold in Kansas on Friday before 2 o'clock. They had sold 10,000 for the week. You just don't ever see the Southern Plains at any point having more negotiated trades in the Northern Plains, but Kansas did last week, and they had a price spread on their live sales negotiated in Kansas from 188 to 193. But it was mostly 190, and like I said, that's steady to a buck higher. Did have some dress sales in Kansas at 312, and that is starting to break. That northern Kansas market, what little we see negotiated is kind of ruffling up the water there on your Kansas trade. It's not just one price anymore. Texas sold 1,700 on Friday early, just a few more than that for the week. And their live prices had a price spread from 190 to 194. So that's curious there in Texas, but it was mostly 190. Box beef cutout values for last week, your weighted average on all of last week's choice cutout sales put together, the weighted average was 323.71. That was $2.32 higher than your weighted average from the previous week. And then your late sales on Friday afternoon choice were about $2.50 higher than that, higher than the weighted average. So some decent gains there. Select, not so much, not as much gain there, and we're starting to see that choice select spread grow like you would think it would in the midsummer when people are buying things to put on the grill. But it's almost $20, and you know, it hasn't been very long ago that it was only $2 or $3, but it's really spread out. But your weighted average on last week's select cut sales, 304.08. That was only 12 cents higher than the previous week's weighted average. And your late Friday sales on select were about 42 cents higher than that weighted average, but didn't see the gains that we saw in the choice. All that information based on 573 loads of cuts, grinds, and trimmings. Your slaughter for last week was 609,000, kind of disappointing. It was 11,000 lighter than the previous week and 42,000 lighter than the same week a year ago. Talk about your feeder cattle market, your real-time index on DVAuction based on an 800-pound cash auction steer up through your middle 12 states, 256.71. That was 76 cents lower than the previous week. And you think, gosh, those sales were so good last week. Well, you remember we started out lower last week quite a bit on some big sales, on some big high volume commodity cattle sales there. They were lower to start the week. And then the board was up big on Wednesday, and so we saw some mid and late week sales sell pretty good. But the market, feeder cattle market in your sale barns kind of closed the week about steady after being lower early and then bouncing back later in the week. And then we got right up to the end of the week and just a really slow sales with the holiday coming up. A lot of sales were even closed, but there were some specials that had some pretty impressive quotes last week, and so the market's just all over the place. Most sale barns are going to be closed this week, most of them. So be sure and check your schedule, guys. You want to make sure you don't load your cattle and head for the sale. And even if they're going to have a really light run, a lot of your buyers are taking a week off. You know, they'll take a week off at Christmas time, and they'll take a week off during the 4th of July. So you don't want to be the only ones there, guys. Unless you got cows and bulls, and that might not be a bad idea because they're always scrambling for those. But give you some individual quotes late last week and over the weekend. How about Bluegrass Stockyards in Kentucky, in Richmond, Kentucky, just about 2 blocks off the town square, guys. Jim does such a good job with that sale late in the week there. He sold 60 steers, weighed 877, standing in the ring in Richmond, Kentucky. They bring 260, 210. Wow. Let's get a little bit closer to your farmer feeders in Edina, Missouri, Edina Livestock there. They got really good cattle there. It's not a real big sale, but they do have DV Auction broadcasting, so you can view and bid their sale online there at DVAuction.com. But in Edina, Missouri, 59 steers weighed 893 at 267. Now let's go right up in the middle of farmer feeder country, and that your most impressive quote that I saw late last week or over the weekend, and your Macrocin No BS top quote for the day come out of Dunlap Livestock Auction in Dunlap, Iowa. They sell 64 steers, weighed 869 on Friday at 271.50. That's your feeder flash for Monday.